College Hoops on FS1 is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. The Gavitt Tipoff Games continue in Omaha, Nebraska, the heartland of America, represented by number 9 Wisconsin and their beloved Blue Jays of Creighton as the Big East and the Big Ten continue to get with it. And the college basketball season is indeed underway. Along with Jimmy Jackson, Tim Brando, happy to have you with us. A marvelous game already having been played at Washington, D.C. earlier tonight. Jimmy, I look at contrasting styles in this one for sure.
Well, first of all, nice to be back with you. College basketball is back. But contrasting from this, Wisconsin's perspective, they want to put the ball down low. They have the size inside. If you're Creighton, you want to move the defense by getting out in transition. Their best asset is in the backcourt.
Now let's take a look at the starting lineups. And when you take into account this Jeep starting lineup, is a lineup that was a part of that run through the Sweet 16 a year ago. In fact, their first 9 players returned 97% of their offense for the Badgers, led by Nigel Hayes, of course, and an outstanding guard in Bronson Koenig, who also gets the job done. The Blue Jays play beat basketball, want to get up and down the floor with arguably the best guard tandem that you'll find in the Big East this year. Marcus Foster, the transfer, to go along with Maurice Watson. Our officials for tonight's game: Bo Borowski, Rob Riley, and Steve McJunkins. A capacity crowd in a building where they absolutely love college basketball.
Are you pumped? I'm pumped.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can feel it. This is what college basketball is all about. You can't ask for a better tip-off game than these two right here.
This is an NCAA tournament game in waiting.
And it feels like it as well.
It really does. The opening tap is controlled to the Blue Jays, and Mo Watson will begin it. There's the dump down to the big fella. Justin Patton, the redshirt freshman, homespun star from Omaha, with the first bucket.
And you see right there what makes Watson so special is the timing, the patience, but then the delivery inside the Patton for the easy finish.
That was, I thought maybe that was a deflection by Watson. He certainly got in the way of Koenig and annoyed him just enough to force the turnover on the over and back. There you see Greg McDermott. What a remarkable run he has had since coming here. In his first season in the Big East with his son Doug, they got all the way to the finals of the Big East tournament, looking to get back into the NCAAs after a trip to the 3rd round of the NIT a year ago. Foster! This kid is incredible. He had 2 buzzer beaters in the Big 12 when he played at Kansas State to defeat Oklahoma twice in the same year. Koenig with the dump down to Nigel Hayes. Shot clock is under 6. Great work by the freshman Patton. Watson on the loose. A step back for Foster. Nothing but nylon, and they are pumped in Omaha. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, team! The speed and quickness, which is what the Creighton program is founded on. It's the way McDermott wants to play. And getting these 2 guards to work together and really feed off each other, that's the first real glimpse of it we've seen so far this year.
But it goes back to this. It's all about experience, understanding who you are as a player, and you get that from senior leadership. And that's what you see early in this game, the calmness, but the ability to knock down jump shot is the strength of this Creighton backcourt.
Badgers want to get it inside where they have a multiplicity of talent. Put a lot of pressure on the freshman Patton, maybe getting into foul difficulty. The blow by, Showalter rejected.
And you see what makes this young man so special. Not only the block, but he was in position right here to help defense to negate what could have been an easy basket inside for Showalter. Inside, the timing is impeccable right here by Patton. Patton.
They set him a year ago. That's a walk by Koenig. I remember coming in here for some games. As you look at Greg Gard in his first full season as head coach, took over on December the 15th of last year when Bo Ryan suddenly decided to step aside. They were in a lot of trouble, and he guided them and navigated them to a Coach of the Year season in the Sweet 16. And we're ready to explode yet again as Ethan Happ brings that one down. Wisconsin 3 trips, 3 turnovers.
Yeah, uncharacteristic of this Wisconsin team, not valuing the basketball. We're not accustomed to seeing that. Let's see if they can settle down on this possession.
Koenig.
Right on time, baby.
Yeah.
Right on time. I mean, that's something that Bronson can do, is spot up without the dribble, rise over the top, and finish through a defender.
Ball was knocked away by the Badgers. Creighton will control it. Not quite 2.5 minutes gone by.
And if you're Creighton, this is the start you want, and you're able to get out in transition against this Wisconsin defense before they get set, but also break down the defense with dribble penetration.
Watson fading away. Tough shot. And it's taken down by Happ. Understanding and defining new roles. That's what Wisconsin was all about last year in their run from mid-January on, as we see a foul spotted away from the ball inside. It goes against Marcus Foster, his first. Look at the series history between these two. Last meeting won by Creighton not that long ago, 2012. That man almost hired Greg Gard back at Wayne State some 20 years ago. That's how far back these two still very young coaches go, as Greg McDermott looks on and sees Kyrie Thomas pick up his first.
Yeah, and what you're going to see, too, and our viewers at home, pay attention. Whenever Happ or Nigel Hayes gets the ball in the post, look for a double team to come from the middle to force the ball out of their hands.
Money, absolutely, for Nigel Hayes. Preseason Big Ten Player of the Year. First team all Big Ten a season ago. Watson took an extra step.
And Tim, you know, in that last possession by Wisconsin, Nigel Hayes shown his ability to step out and hit a three. Why was it important that he made it? Because last year his shooting percentage was down, only 29% from the three-point line. The year before it was 39%. So that's huge for his game because it opens up his ability to now take slower opponents off the dribble.
Koenig working on Huff. That three-pointer won't go for Cannon, and it's taken down by Huff. Foster with the 2 jumpers has not done it off the dribble yet. That time halfway down the cylinder and out, and it's cleared by Ethan Happ.
And that's excellent contesting defense that time by Nigel Hayes. Contesting without foul.
Koenig again. Not this time. Nice offensive rebound by Alex Elikainen. We got a push. That was on Happ over the back. And we'll go the other way when we come back. Just over 4 minutes gone by. After an 8-0 spurt, Wisconsin settles down. It's a Big Ten, Big East showdown in the Gavitt Tipoff.
DJ's Dugout Concert support Creighton Athletics. You can visit DJ's Dugout 6 metro area locations. DJ's #1 sports bar. 4 years in a row. Dig in at the Dugout. Creighton Athletics would like to thank all J-Factors in attendance at tonight's contest. Are you interested in supporting the Creighton volleyball program? Become a J-Factor today by contacting the Athletics Development Office at 280-GIVE or visiting gocreighton.com/giving. Creighton basketball is always one of Omaha's hottest sports tickets. You can get the most complete recap of tonight's action in tomorrow's Omaha World Herald. The Omaha World Herald and Omaha.com, proud sponsor of Creighton basketball. Jensen Tire and Auto, locally owned and family owned since 1973. Count on Jensen Tire and Auto for the long, healthy life of your car. From custom media planning to full-service creative brand ID, trust the team committed to bring you more and more. It's 11:23, 11:23.
Every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. It's America's fastest growing sports show, Undisputed with Skip and Shannon, weekdays from 9:30 to noon Eastern, only on FS1. Tim Brando, Jimmy Jackson, happy to report that Rob Stone and Steve Lavin are also with us. You'll be hearing from them at halftime. They've been busy throughout the evening. After an 8-0 spurt to start the first 121 for the Blue Jays, it's been nada, senor, for the last 2.5 minutes.
Well, of course, got out to a hot start. Wisconsin kind of settled in defensively. This is where the patience that Coach Greg McDermott talked about. Greg McDermott about his squad. Good defense again, this time by Wisconsin.
Thomas really tried to force that one. And the drought continues for them past the 3-minute mark.
You know, at one point, Wisconsin's going to settle in defensively, get their feet underneath them.
Watson again gets his hands in there. That's the 4th Badgers turnover.
That's just excellent anticipation that time by Watson.
Another one. Nothing but nylon. Kyrie Thomas. Blue Jays are living off points off turnovers.
Right now, a lot of lazy passes on the perimeter by the Badgers, allowing Creighton to get a hand on and get out in transition and do what they do best.
9 of their 11 points have come off turns by the Badgers. Hayes with an answer. He gets the 3-pointer to go. And just like that, it's 11-9.
And just a little something. That time, Vito Brown accepts the double team, takes a power dribble out, forces the defense to rotate, and now the pass is out, able to get over to an open Nigel Hayes. That's something this Wisconsin team does better than anybody in the country, keeping the spread. And again, by moving the basketball around, you get opportunities for Wisconsin.
He's in for number 25, Alex Illigan.
An example of those turnovers we were talking about.
Yes.
9 of the 11 points have come that way for Creighton. They far prefer scoring in transition, this team.
Well, in particular against this bigger Badger defense.
Foster fading away beyond the arc. That's the redshirt junior Jordan Hill that's checked into the game. Bronson Koenig sitting down now as Zach Showalter has come back onto the floor. And here's Hayes again. X marks the spot. You had better check him there. Hansen just into the game. Zach Hansen, the senior, unable to get there in time. This is now an 11-3 Wisconsin run.
What a smart move that time by Nigel Hayes, understanding that Hansen is just in the game, not loose, goes right at him.
Zierden has also come in. Isaiah Zierden, a sharp-shooting three-point man, only got off 1 shot in 22 minutes action the other night in their win as Watson negotiates into the painted area and gets a chippy.
And one thing they worked on yesterday, Creighton, was getting to the nail, getting to the free throw line and making a play. That time Watson able to get right to the basket.
The dump down to Vito Brown, and he turns it over again. This time It's Hansen that starts it. Creighton loves that spot on the floor, but Hayes is right in front of him. Hansen, he and Toby Hegner, blue-collar players for the Blue Jays. If they get strong contributions there, Jimmy, this is going to be a fun game to watch all night.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Hansen got the ball deep in the post. If I get it right there right now, I believe I can score. So Hansen, excellent job in position early.
Vito Brown just rattled that one home, the senior from Bowling Green. 15-14 Blue Jays. And
the bigs are going to keep you honest. They're going to force you to come out on the perimeter and guard shots beyond the three-point line. That's what makes them tough.
That's a block on Khalil Iverson, the sophomore from Hayes High School in Delaware, Ohio.
I was talking about Hansen inside, and the deep post position right here allows now for Hansen 1, 2 dribbles inside, a nice little jump hook. One thing, pressure on the passer, not allowing the ball get there, but Vito Brown has to meet Hansen earlier, get him off the block, and now instead of 2 dribbles, you may have to take 4 or 5 to get to your spot.
Talked about the contrasting styles, Jimmy, at the outset of the game. I'd say so far we've seen glimpses of both controlling the game's tempo.
Yeah, but you gotta keep in mind, Wisconsin, they want to get up and down, opportunistic running team.
Yeah.
But if they don't have it, they're going to reset their offense and force the defense to think for 30 seconds.
Creighton from up top. Hello, how do you do? This kid can get on a roll and hit them in bunches. 18-14 Creighton.
And what a luxury to have a guy like Creighton coming off the bench. Not only a great shooter, but more importantly, a heady player that has tons of experience.
They were really concerned that he only got 1 shot at the basket the other night in their opening game. He needs to at least get 6 or 7 looks at the hoop every time out. Walter not there. Pulled down by Kyrie Thomas. Loose ball. Quick timeout was taken by the Badgers once they controlled the basketball. They'll have it underneath their own hoop. Well, he's the son of an assistant coach, Don Creighton, with the Washington Wizards. How about some wizardry from downtown? Lance Can.
Entry at ticketomaha.com.
All right, Gus, thank you. Here, Creighton with its 3-point barrage is up by 4 over Wisconsin in another marvelous Dave Gavitt tip-off matchup between Big East and Big Ten Titans. And Jimmy Jackson, the youngster, the transfer Foster, has been heard from big time.
Well, he has, not only in transition, a little sidestep, step back three-pointer, but the key to Creighton's offense is the ability to get a ball, to get the steal, to get out, to move this Wisconsin defense. And when you have the shot, Coach McDermott is going to encourage you to take it early in this game. That's what we saw from Creighton.
A man that was at Kansas State, transferred over, sat out a year ago. This guy's been unstoppable in this game. And popping outside is Alex Ilikanen, the sophomore from Grand Rapids, to knock down a three, and it's 18-17. Nigel Hayes, number 10, the senior from Toledo, has really done the job for Wisconsin to keep them in it.
A couple offensive rebounds, a couple three-point shots.
That alley-oop did not go. They were trying to get the freshman Patton the ball on the alley-oop from Watson. Bronson Kading, another one of the many veterans on this team that returns 9 of its top players.
That quick double team right there.
Pat gives it up to Hayes. Great recognition to Koenig. Boy, those two know exactly where the other is.
Well, again, the cross-court pass hurts the defense. And that time now you're scrambling on defense. You're going to be a step behind. That opened up the jump shot in the corner.
First lead for the Badgers. Harrell just into the game, throws up a runner that's an air ball. And Wisconsin looks to extend its lead. Patton got his hand in there. We touched on this veteran team. The Jeep stat of the game will show you that it really is about a returning barrage of offense for a club that this time last year didn't know what direction they were going to be headed in.
But they knew they were deep. They knew they had quality players. It was just hearing the right voice, and Coach Gard did an outstanding job. And we see this every year with Wisconsin, not only returning starters, but starters who have improved each and every year that they've been in the program.
Red Guard, as we mentioned earlier, for those of you just joining us, began in December of last season when Bo Ryan unexpectedly decided to step aside. He did so in some ways to make sure Guard would be the successor for the opportunity to become head coach. Vito Brown gets that foul.
And how tough is it to come in after the guy?
Oh, yeah.
You know, but I think Coach Gard looked at it as an opportunity. His voice was a little different. His demeanor and approach was a little different.
And he changed the flow of their offense.
And he changed the flow, but Bo did a great job 2 years prior to up-tempoing this offense, and Coach Gard just took it to another level.
Absolutely. Redefining the roles for both Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig was the key. Oh, the iron kind to Cole Huff.
And that's a pleasant sign, because with Huff, with the knee injury, it's more mental, it's stable, but I've been through it before. It's tough to get over that mental hurdle that the knee is stable enough to do what you need to do, so that's a good shot, a good indication right there early on for Huff.
A real key for this Creighton team will be staying healthy this season. Nigel Hayes again. That's the first one he's missed from that spot on the floor. Vito Brown comes down with the offensive rebound, and Koenig resets.
And the size advantage right there. Another offensive rebound, another possession for the Badgers. Creighton has to do a better job on the defensive glass.
Stop and go. Wraparound pass was a good idea, but it was a bit low. Leads to a potential turnover. Patton on the scrum. Gets it out to Foster. He misses the chippy.
Yeah, well, he was in between. He didn't know whether he was going to dunk the basketball or lay it up. And when you're confused, what happens to him? He missed the layup.
I think we have a timeout for Koenig, who may have slightly injured himself. A quick substitution coming as Jordan Hill will check in, along with Demetric Trice, freshman from Huber Heights, Ohio. And the brother of Travis Trice, you may recall, who played at Michigan State for Tom Izzo.
We talked about a little bit about Wisconsin and the philosophy. Think about Creighton. Before you switch conferences, you build your program a little different way. Now you're in the Big East. Recruiting-wise, you look at how to get valuable assets through transfers. And right now that's boding well. A little different recruiting cycle, little recruiting definition. It's a little bit different, but it's working for McDermott here.
Trice. He plays a different game than his brother. but he is extremely confident.
Well, they raved about the fact that when Trice came in, he looked like he belonged already. And that says a lot.
Watson with a floater that goes crying off the front iron. Pulled down by Ethan Happ, who's been all over the glass here in the early going. Wisconsin is getting the job done on both boards. He's got 5 rebounds already. Hayes again. They just absolutely can do nothing with him. They're not getting out and closing on him on either wing at this stage.
Nigel Hayes understands that the defense has to play off, and if you leave me open, free you very much.
And it is time for the CenturyLink Prism TV Shot Challenge. It's the ultimate challenge for a chance to win $5,000. It's simple. Make all 5 shots and spell Prism before top. We've got something for the rest of you as well. Make it loud for a Blue Jay t-shirt. We'll take t-shirts brought by Marlin Custom Sportswear at Price Stores in the 84th State Season Store. Marlin Custom Sportswear with the best selection of those best licensed great gear in Omaha.
An outstanding time of the year. College basketball crossing over with football. And the Wisconsin Badgers leading by 6 in the Dave Gavitt Tipoff Games. Game 2 on FS1 tonight with Jimmy Jackson, Tim Brando. What we're noticing is that double down in the low post by Creighton is allowing kickouts to a wide open Nigel Hayes, and they haven't been able to close out on him.
Well, 2 things about it. One, when you get deep post position, you have to come double down. But also, the closeout on Nigel Hayes is not there. They're giving him too much room. You want to respect the fact that he can shoot the 3. That time, you just lay on the screen. He's wide open. Here, the rotation by Watson is not to his body, and then this is Hansen coming in the game fresh off the bench. Nigel recognizes that, uses a hesitation, creates space. What you have to do with Nigel Hayes, or any shooter, is close out the airspace. Right now, Creighton is not doing a really good job of taking away the freedom of shooting by Nigel Hayes.
Well, he's been outstanding. In fact, their last 5 field goals have been 3-pointers. And after an 8-0 start to open this game, for those of you that just joined us, Creighton has been outscored 26-12 ever since that magnificent start. And Foster, the transfer from Kansas State, on the dribble drive, is fouled by Khalil Iverson, his second.
Well, also Wisconsin doing a better job of valuing the basketball, not throwing lazy passes, allowing Creighton to get out in transition.
Foster, tough shot. Patton, athletic enough to not be guilty of going over the back, but the tap out does not go his way, and Wisconsin has it in their front court.
Those are the shots that Coach McDermott wanted to avoid, because Wisconsin will take their time and get a good shot.
Trice off the front iron, yet another offensive rebound, run down out by the Badgers. Trice again in traffic, the putback, and on the glass it's Ethan Happ. 16-4 this run now.
And that was offensive rebounding against the zone, because you were able to break it down with the dribble.
Beautiful alley-oop, and one. Watson with a Philly move gives it up to the big freshman, and he flushes it home.
But the beauty of it is Watson was able to get out in transition early against the defense that wasn't set. Now you have a rotation of half. That leaves the backside wide open for Patton. The easy inside alley-oop, and now a chance for a three-point play.
Redshirted in his freshman year, they wanted to make absolutely certain that this five-star recruit would be completely healthy and ready to go. And he is going to be an impact player for quite some time in the Big East Conference. Vito Brown did not have the shoulder square that time.
He was running away a little like Steph Curry without the jump shot.
Watson, a little out of control that time with the behind-the-back maneuver and the turnover. Bronson Koenig brings it back the other way.
Watson can get a little fast. He had 7 turnovers in the last game, and Coach McDermott see an offensive foul that time by Vito Brown. Really talked to Watson about slowing down, playing fast, but playing smart, value the basketball that time. Just turned it over.
Vito Brown, Ethan Happ, and Khalil Iverson, all Badgers with 2 fouls with 6:41 remaining in this half. That time he allowed his derriere to get in the way, and during that root out, picked up the personal foul. What a blow by. Everything but the finish from Foster that time.
And that time a little miscommunication between Nigel Hayes and I think Showalter up front. It was supposed to switch. That allowed Foster to get to the basket. Unfortunately, wasn't able to convert.
Badgers ball movement has been really good in their half-court sets. There's Hayes off the screen. Off the back iron, tipped away, last touched by Creighton. So yet again, second chance opportunity coming Wisconsin's way.
And you mentioned last year, you mentioned about the ball movement. The early struggles last year, to be honest with you, Tim, was the fact that especially Bronson and Nigel, they held the basketball too long. They tried to go one-on-one, do some things very uncharacteristic of this Badger team. But when the ball is hopping around, they have so many great shooters. It's tough to guard 5 guys that can knock it down on the perimeter.
You're right. It's also tough to guard when you're being out-rebounded 19-5, which is what Wisconsin's doing to Creighton right now. On that flash, Charlie Thomas wants it. Good ball movement again. This time, though, it misses everything. Lakeinen could not get that one in. Billy Canaan has 1 field goal. How about that duck under by Foster?
Again, attacking this Wisconsin defense before they're set. Out in transition, Foster recognized a mismatch and took advantage of it.
And they are good ones here in Omaha. Smelling a run from the Blue Jays. Billy Canaan again. Hegner had it, slapped away by Hayes, but the Blue Jays will control it.
When you get the ball on the block, you have a mismatch, make a decision. What you're going to do this time, Foster, not allowing the double team to come, took advantage inside, up and under with a nice finish inside. Smart play that time by Foster on the block.
Listen, these transfers that Greg McDermott have picked up are difference makers, the kind that can get you into the big party in March, not the NIT.
Well, now you can dance a little bit, and you love to go out and get experience.
How about that? Strong move, everything but the finish. Hansen fighting for it. We've got a tie-up. The arrow is going Wisconsin's way.
Jump ball was along to the Badgers.
Listen, it's part of the game now. It's as vital as recruiting. Whether it's a graduate transfer or undergraduates, Maurice Watson, by way of Boston University, wanted to play at a big-time level. Foster comes over. Enigmatic at his end at Kansas State, and Cole Huff. These are 3 big-time transfer talents.
I guess it depends on which spectrum you're looking at, and you see Bronson that time able to absorb contact and finish. If you're the coach where they leave, you don't like it. But if you're the coach that accepts great talent, you love the transfer.
Watson from the seat of his pants. One of the most entertaining and electrifying players in the game today. doubled, and you see him give it up. Does not fall, though, for Charlie Thomas. Non-shooters now, Jimmy, taking shots for Wisconsin. Watson, count it.
That's not a non-shooter. And again, in transition, you back the defense up. You get a good defensive play on your end. Now you're able to get a clean look. Creighton right back in this game.
It's not falling from downtown. They've now missed 8 consecutive threes after the 3-ball that had been falling for Hayes and Koenig had given them the lead. Watson not there. Pulled down by Charlie Thomas.
And twice, Charlie Thomas is the guy that was left open on the perimeter. Sometimes you need to turn that shot down and get a better one.
Koenig, he's off balance. They're also doing a better job of closing out, I think.
Well, they are, but the ball is staying on the perimeter right now for Wisconsin. That's why those shots are now becoming more contested, or Thomas is the one that's left open to take them.
Isaiah Zierden back in the game. He does have 1 3-ball already. You can bet that's the reason McDermott got him back in there. He wants another threat. An alley-oop that won't go, but a foul against Wisconsin as Hansen was driving to the hoop. It goes against Charlie Thomas. It's been fun. Back and forth we go. Big East versus Big Ten on FS1.
Your card giveaway. Find your first national Big Ten or credit card. Hold it up high and keep holding it there for the camera to see. Remember, once the music stops, the camera stops. Card holder on the video board will be tonight's lucky winner. Let's see those cards.
One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I do.
That means you are a winner. Let's take a look inside the first national night ball to see.
Tim Brendo, hello.
By the way, your band of renown is a solo act tonight.
Hey, how about my pregame show? Nailed it.
Nailed it. Hey, I said you were on punishment. You're not allowed to be on the court right now. You can't do this. You're on punishment.
I play by my own rules. I'm also watching U.S. Costa Rica on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. Double dipping.
0-0 right now.
Double dipping.
It's not 0-0. Oh, I love you.
Who are the Yahoos? I have no monitor. Back to Omaha, Wisconsin up 2. Rob Stone here with you. Coming up on the Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report, Steve Lavin's going to join me. We're going to talk about the matchup nightmare that is Nigel Hayes. And we're going to reflect back on that Georgetown loss, guys. I have a feeling it's something the Hoyas are going to regret a little bit later.
Yeah, you know what, Rob? Jimmy and I were on hand when they beat Syracuse early in the season last year, and they couldn't follow that up. And this was a signature victory opportunity for JT3 in a game that in that part of the country means so very much. It'll be interesting to see what kind of gas they've got in the tank for the next week or two, because that's a devastating loss. They had control of that game up by about 7 or so with a minute and a half, 2 minutes left to play.
Well, the inability to finish.
Yep.
Mistakes down the stretch of the game, not able to knock down shots, get defensive stops. when you need them is a concern. Again, it's earlier in the year. What can you learn from it is something that hopefully they'll take away from it, because they have the talent. We always talked about that with Georgetown. It's all about finishing off games like that they need to be better at.
The good news, if you look at it, Jimmy, from a standpoint of just this season, there are no losers in games like this. That's the 10th straight miss from three-point range. The point being, these are games that are only going to help you with the tournament selection committee, not hurt you. Hegner trying to stay with it. Hansen, he willed that one in. It's 31-30. Creighton has the lead again.
Creighton kind of returning the favor, playing a little volleyball underneath inside, using the size to their advantage. Nigel Hayes not blocking out. Hansen able to get his arms around the basketball and finish inside, and that's what you want. They're not going to beat you by straight posting up, but the offensive rebounds, the second efforts, that's what Hansen can give you inside.
Hansen got the foul on this end of the floor. Badgers now were 8 of 13 from downtown, Jimmy. They're 0 for 10 since.
They've gotten a good shot. Now again, Charles Thomas, you may not want him taking them, but you had some good opportunities. If you're Wisconsin, just not able to knock them in.
Showalter, remember, point of emphasis in college basketball this year, you get your hand out, you're going to be whistled.
And that's why the emphasis should be, especially with a team like Creighton. You have outstanding guards, big physical guards. Put the pressure and the onus on the officials to call those type of fouls. Get yourself in the penalty and get to the free throw line.
That's the first foul on Watson. Showalter from downtown. Price on the offensive boards. And another second chance opportunity. Wisconsin hammering Creighton on the glass. Not unexpected. The strength of this team and many others in the Big Ten. Hayes off the bounce. Hansen lost it again. Just not strong with the basketball. Hayes lost it. And he was looking at an easy one. When you bring down a rebound against Wisconsin, you better come down strong with it.
Well, you have to be strong. You have to be aware that this Wisconsin team is going to try to jab the basketball away. Securing the ball is the first and utmost important thing to do. Then you can get out and run.
Again, the crowd responds, though, to the play of Hansen. Zach Hansen, the senior from South Dakota, getting quality minutes. Foster! Hammer time! Welcome to college basketball in Omaha.
Well, Foster should have did that on the fast break instead of landing up, but that's a play they worked on extensively in practice yesterday. Get to the nail, shoot the jump shot, or make a play.
Billy Kanan is back on the floor. There's the dump down. Showalter into traffic. Now Hayes, that's his spot. This time, the iron unkind, and it's been that way a dozen straight times from three for Wisconsin. Hegner out of bounds to Creighton.
One thing I love is guard on guard, pick and roll. That time the rotation was slow for Wisconsin getting back, but again, it's the penetration off the dribble, the lack of communication on the weak side. That allows now Foster to get it easy. Throw it down, young fella.
This game is not for the faint of heart, partner.
It's not, but this is what we expect. This is what we want early in the season.
Oh, yeah.
Two top 25 teams going back and forth. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be pretty, but I tell you what, it's going to be very competitive.
Since the Badgers, Jimmy, were up by 8, 30 to 22, they've gone 1 for 12 from the floor. Stone cold ever since. Watson. Hayes was out there with him. The clock was winding down. And Greg McDermott is okay with it. This team made a nice run to close out this half. Pretty entertaining start, partner.
You think so? Two top 25 going at Nigel Hayes.
Rob Stone, Steve Lavin coming up at halftime.
welcome you to the Jeep Grand Cherokee FS1 College Hoops Halftime Report live from Omaha, Nebraska. The Blue Jays working on an upset after 20 minutes. They're on top of number 9 Wisconsin, 33-30. Rob Stone, Steve Lavin back here with you. Nigel Hayes, double figures in the opening game, double figures at halftime already. There is a reason he is the preseason Big Ten Player of the Year and probably a legit candidate to be the National Player of the Year. We're going to focus in on Nigel Hayes in our Jeep first half highlights, Coach.
Well, it's one thing to have the talent, the size, the skill, but really it's the judgment of Nigel Hayes that's so impressive. He plays at a pace that allows him to see the floor. His clarity in judgments because of that pace leads to the playmaking ability. Never in a rush on his catches. He's a handful. We've seen him tickle the twine, but here again, putting it on the deck and playmaking. So he's got a great feeler sense for when to shoot, when to create off the bounce, when to pass. And of course, sometimes it's just about keeping his teammates involved. That's someone you want to play with. He's a selfless basketball player, but very talented.
You and I are watching him in pregames. He looks the part of a next-level guy. Marcus Foster might be that type of next-level guy as well, and the Creighton staff will tell you, yes, indeed, he is.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't play him some at the mid-post. Foster's strength, ability to navigate or maneuver, invert him some, and we saw that late in the half, his ability to flush, and even on a post catch where he can play make or attack the rim. Foster, a handful.
Foster in double digits as well. One of the storylines right now, the three-point shooting, that's what gave Creighton that 8-0 lead, and they extended Wisconsin able to rally from the three, but 8 of 25 from behind the arc for the Badgers.
Well, I think at halftime, what Coach McDermott's going to talk about is getting up and pressuring, taking away that airspace, too much daylight. Wisconsin was comfortable in terms of moving the ball and picking apart the Blue Jays defense with precision.
Badgers usually a pretty clean team. 8 turnovers in the first half just for the Blue Jays. When Coach and I return, we're going to talk about the result that took place in D.C. earlier tonight here on FS1. A tough one for Hoya Paranoia to stomach.
Was I looking at the right one? I don't know. So I look at that. Say it again. As we go to half, we can talk about the tempos.
Folks in Wisconsin say Bronson Koenig stronger, quicker, more explosive this season. Here's 3 of his 8 at the break, but his Badgers down a triple here in Omaha. Earlier tonight on FS1, the Big East Conference suffered their first loss early in the season as Georgetown, up 7 with a minute left, fell at home to Maryland. This is a significant loss for the Hoyas because JT3 enters off of his worst record ever as Hoyas head coach.
Well, a devastating or heartbreaking loss for Georgetown and an exhilarating win for the Maryland Terps. It was equal collapse and comeback. We'd be remiss not to give Maryland credit because while Georgetown had turnovers, stepped out of bounds, there was a traveling call, they fouled up 1, used poor judgment, but Maryland had to capitalize and be opportunistic in terms of making free throws and making baskets to be able to come back. So that's when you have a compelling outcome or thrilling outcome, is when one team collapses and the other capitalizes.
We know it's early, but that would have been one of those victories for Hoya Nation to say, you know what, maybe we are back after their worst record in 43 years. Let's talk about the second half of our game here in Omaha and the pace of this game. So important for both of these clubs. Who's winning the pace battle right now?
Well, the pace battle, Wisconsin. They prefer that methodical grinding. They'll be opportunistic in transition, but if they don't get a good look or have the numbers or advantage in the break, they'll make you guard and for the entire possession. Creighton needs to get stops or shutouts so they can get into the open court and play at a faster tempo. So it's really a battle. Who can impose their preferred tempo in the second half will win this game.
Coach McDermott telling us, you know, we want that pace, but we want intelligent shots off of that pace. They've got the lead, but 20 minutes to go. Tim and Jim with the second half call from Omaha. After this break, it's the Blue Jays up 3.
College Hoops on FS1 is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Dave Gavitt Tipoff here at halftime, 33-30. The Blue Jays leading Wisconsin. In the aftermath of that game between Maryland and Georgetown, we welcome you back. Tim Brando along with Jimmy Jackson. You know, if it looks at it this way, very simplistic game, really. If Creighton gets more turnovers, they win. If there's more points, second chance opportunities, Wisconsin wins. Is that pretty much it?
It's real simple, but it's true because the way the game started off, Creighton was able to force some turnovers and then get out in transition, and that's being active on the defensive end. You talk about it as a coach all the time, don't make it easy. But when you get a turnover, get out in transition and force the other team to guard you right here. A little step back, Foster able to knock it in. And what happens is, defensively, you're anticipating, you're active, the pace of play is how you want it, and now you're able to get shots against a Wisconsin defense, as you'll see right here, inside Hansen with the steal, but now he's able to set up inside before the defense gets set. Easy basket inside. That's a formula for success if you're Creighton starting the second half.
I got to believe that if you have more shots taken in this game from the perimeter by Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig, you're going to be in a lot better shape than if they're taken by Charlie Thomas or Alex Ilikanen.
But you know what? It's attention to detail. You want to force those other players to beat you, and not your two main guys in Bronson and also Nigel Hayes.
You'll see the first half leaders, Hayes, Happ, and Hayes. On the Blue Jays side, Foster with points. Patton, the freshman sensation from Omaha, did the job. A one-man band really on the glass, and Maurice Watson with 4 assists. They'd like to see him drop 7 or 8 dimes. Foster with a runner to open. It does not go. Quickly out to Koenig.
Yeah, excellent transition defense that time by Creighton getting back, but that's not. Falls right into the hands of what Wisconsin wants to do half court-wise. They're going to settle in, pass the ball around, get a high-quality shot.
I believe Patton was a little too active that time with the lean, and the freshman picks up his first foul of the night. I overheard Steve Lavin at halftime talking about the contrasting styles, and that Wisconsin right now with a low-scoring game probably at a bit of an advantage, but you never know when that quick burst may come from Creighton.
Well, it comes from the defensive end, being able to get out and run and then taking high-quality shots, forcing a lot of pressure for Wisconsin to guard them off the dribble.
That may be a good sign as Vito Brown gets the hoop. Wisconsin is now 2 of their last 13 shots from the floor, so they ended the first half stone cold.
A lot of those shots were off of one pass. That one was off Baltimore. See Watson.
Oh, Watson with a little plastic man can. And it's 35-32. Blue Jays answer quickly. Little guy can be a contortionist at times. There he is again. Electrifying. Absolutely. Yes, and a foul.
Tim, Coach McDermott talked about forcing Wisconsin to be uncomfortable. That time, Watson able to jab it away. Not a smart play by Showalter on the break. If you're going to foul him, grab him early and don't allow him to get it up. But I go back to what I talked about at halftime. Steals, transition, easy baskets. Now you force the tempo into the way you want to play and not the way the Badgers would love to keep it more of a half-court situation.
Showalter got the foul. I think they're taking a look to see if it was intentional. Watson was actually begging for it. If you take a look at the replay,
well, he's behind him.
Yeah, he's behind
right here. And so this is an intentional grab. It's going to be interesting to see what the call is by the officials.
Watson was asking for it, trailing the play after making the pass, trying to do a little extra officiating. I don't know that it was as heinous an act to call it, but if you wanted to go by the letter of the law,
exactly.
The letter of the law would say if you're not making an attempt at the ball itself, then that would be deemed intentional.
And right here, a reach here, but it's really, you can say that right hand was reaching down to try to slap away when it got back. Thomas's right hand, and that's going to be an interpretation call right here by the officials.
That's Rob Riley talking with Greg McDermott. Borowski and Steve McJunkins are taking a look at the video. Look at Watson. I love that. The little engine that could says, I got this. That's an intentional.
Yeah, trying to influence the officials to make the call, but right here it looks like it's just going to be a regular foul.
Yeah, I agree with this.
Yeah,
I do.
I do too.
Now, Greg McDermott may be pointing it out on the other end, but he's okay. He's smiling as he talks to Bo Borowski. Two of the really good guys in college basketball coaching here tonight. Greg Gard in his first full season after taking over his interim a year ago. Listen, Barry Alvarez had a lot of candidates, big-time guys, but Gard did such a job to win the Phelan Award as Coach of the Year, you had to keep him. It's one of the great stories in coaching from a season ago.
It really is.
They were on the skids when Bo Ryan left. Happ in traffic goes to the offense. Beautiful move by Happ.
What patience. And I was going to say they've done an outstanding job of kind of curtailing Happ, but that time got in the lane, used his outstanding footwork and patience to get a nice basket inside.
Watson too strong. He's worked on his jump shot. When he teetered with the idea of going to the NBA and tested the waters, he knew, came away from that finding out he's got to get better at that aspect of his game. And another foul spotted. This one goes against Cole Huff, his first. Talk about the incredible run that Wisconsin made, how disappointing it had been for them last year, but living up to the expectations of NCAA tournament success, Jimmy. There are a few teams out there that are in the same category with the Badgers.
It's never easy to see Showalter right there. Again, patience on the offensive end by Wisconsin, but just because you have talent, that doesn't mean that you're going to get there. But look at the number of wins.
Those are blue bloods.
You don't think about Wisconsin in the same conversation, but the success they were able to have over a 2 to 3 year period is evident with the wins in the tournament.
Well, Showalter's 3-ball ended in 0 for 12 from downtown street for Wisconsin. Now trailing by 1, not quite 3 minutes gone by. And Vito Brown answers. In a game of spurts, the Badgers are on one of 7-0.
It's reminiscent of what we saw early in the first half. Creighton jumps out. Wisconsin settles in.
Foster.
Foster hits a deep three.
What a trigger.
I love the counter. But Coach McDermott understands, he knows who his players are. He allows his players to have the freedom to take those type of shots. And when you have that freedom, you have confidence.
That's a bump. Watson involved with Showalter. And he'll pick up the foul. That's number 2 on Maurice.
Right now, Foster's like, you give me a little space. I'm going to look down, I'm going to measure you up, and I'm going to nail it right in between the eyes. And the bench understands it. But again, it goes back to having the confidence from the coaching staff that you can step in and shoot that type of shot. Again, it's a perimeter game. Guys that can knock down shots have a little bit more freedom.
They knew that when they were practicing a year ago and he was redshirting.
But I said he may have been the best player on the court at times, so they knew what they were getting when they got Foster coming in.
They were salivating at the thought of having him and Patton ready to go for this year.
Yes.
Step back for Kenny. Very accomplished talent.
Such a beautiful stroke.
I think we may have a whistle. I think we may have had an injury. Foster limping over to the sidelines. I think he may just have a Charlie horse cramps of some kind. That appears to be the situation for him. They're going to stretch him out, so that's why the whistle blew to stop play.
You know, it's always good when the player himself can walk back and tell you what's going on, rather than being escorted off of the court.
Isaiah Zierden has checked in for him, the 6'3" senior from Minneapolis. Catch and shoot, 3-point sharpshooter. Watson.
That's one of those shots right there where Coach McDermott is like, well, let's bring that back out and reset the offense a little bit.
Painted with that size advantage. Always looking to go down low. Wave it off on the dribble drive. Zierden trying to check. Khalil Iverson unable to do it. It was a mismatch, and Isaiah picks up his first.
Well, mismatch, and Zierden was straight up in the air. That was an easy drive that time for Iverson. Defensive principles have to be better on one-on-one basketball for Zierden.
Badgers are 5 of 5 from the floor with 4 different guys in this half. Very balanced and pragmatic in their approach.
That's been the calling card for this Wisconsin offense for years. They spread the wealth around.
Shot clock under 10. Koenig's got it. Over Thomas. Wow! Bronson Koenig with the clock winding down. 44-41.
The ability not to panic when the shot clock is under 5 is also a trademark of this Wisconsin team.
Kyrie Thomas off the feed from Watson. Dropping dimes on Philly time. We're tied at 44. Foul goes against Thomas, his second. Bronson Koenig can answer the challenge. But oh, does Melvin know where to find his help? On the wing, nothing but nylon.
Dave Gavitt was a visionary in the world of basketball. He also saw the power of the Northeast market and cities that live and breathe basketball.
To start a league with basketball at the forefront was really ahead of its time.
The Big East tournament and the Big East Conference.
The Gavitt Tipoff Games Big East Big Ten Showdown continues tomorrow. It's Northwestern taking on Butler in Indianapolis. It all starts at 7 Eastern only on FS1. Jimmy, you guys have got to be good to me tonight. I've got to deal with Raftery for the next 2, okay?
Oh, wait, before or after
all right,
the game?
So you know what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah. The score changed during the break, and we're about to show you why. When the clock was winding down on Bronson Koenig, officials noticed at the scores table that it was actually a 2, and that is a good call, not a 3. Easy for the illusion because it was a fall-away variety shot, and they've corrected it. So now Creighton with a 1-point lead rather than tied at 44.
And keep in mind, that is the rule that you can go back and look at it once you have a dead ball. So that's a very good correction and recognition by the officials in that situation.
Bo Borowski, Rob Riley, Steve McJunkins. The triumvirate tonight. Koenig now posting up Kyrie Thomas. Trice is coming to the game. Dimitri Trice. He's hit a 3-pointer tonight. There he is again with a floater. Not there. Out of bounds. It will be controlled underneath for Wisconsin.
At that time, Wisconsin's offense had Creighton a little bit on skates that time. It was dribble penetration. You close out, then they dribble right back at you. That allowed them to break Jordan Hill, to break down the defense, which ultimately got the tip and now another possession.
That's right.
Better job at closeout Creighton has to do against this Wisconsin dribble penetration.
Now, let me correct that. It is Jordan Hill in the game, not Trice. And it was his floater that did not go. Billy Keenan trying to float around. Hegner knows where he is. That's an extra step.
And that time Zierden in better defensive position. His balance was there, was able to slide right in front of Iverson and force a turnover. And we talk about it all the time. You may not have the speed and quickness, but you can anticipate where the offensive player is going, but you have to first be in the proper defensive position.
A pretty good defensive job by Zierden, not known necessarily as a strong defender. 44-43, Blue Jays by 1, not quite 6 minutes gone by. Watson pulled down off the deck by Showalter. He's got Billy Keenan, Nigel Hayes, Jordan Hill, and Ethan Happ on the floor with him. And there's Billy Keenan. Those were not falling for him in the first half. And this is the 7th lead change, Jimmy, that we've had.
Well, at that time, the rotation for Creighton out of the double team was a lot slower. That allowed Billy Keenan now to be open, square, shoulders up, and get a nice look at a three-point shot.
Hegner, and that reach-in will go against Happ. And that'll be the 3rd committed by the redshirt sophomore.
And right here on the rotation, the ball goes out. Now you have to start to communicate and get back defensively, but they did not. That left Billy Keenan open for a jump shot. Again, you don't want a cross-court pass, but if you force the ball to go back to the passer, you have to communicate to get back point and say, let me get back to my man to take away an easy opportunity.
Hansen's on the deck now, along with Hegner, Foster, and Zierden.
Excellent defense that time on the baseline by the Badgers.
Foster, boy, a tough shot that time with plenty of time on the clock.
And that's the patience sometimes that the coaching staff wants to have better of from his guard play. If you don't have it, bring it out, set it up, force Wisconsin to have to guard you. You had success dribble penetrating. Don't take a forced shot if you don't have to.
There are going to be those times when Creighton wants more possessions and they rush one. I think that was one indication of it, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Shot clock winding down on Hill. Did not draw iron. That is a shot clock violation.
Well, I think it's a misnomer, Tim, at times. Everybody wants to play fast, but you want to play smart. You want to be able to go up-tempo, but if you don't have it, that's why your guards have to recognize when you don't have it, pull it back out, reset the offense, and get a good shot.
Cole Huff checking back into the game. Hegner sits down. Watson, with a rare opportunity to get a rest prior to the media timeout, which will come up at the 12-minute mark. So an extra blow for him. Hayes is scoreless, by the way, in this half. And Tyler Clement has come in for the first time. He's a veteran. Shawnee, Kansas. Number 11, Huff. Pulled down by Hill.
Huff has had some good looks, just unable to knock it in. I think as he gets more and more comfortable, you'll see those shots start to fall for him as you get deeper into the season.
Back out to Hill over Clement. Not there. And here comes Ryan with it. Tyler Clement on the move. The trailer is Huff. And that foul will go on Showalter. Wave off the shot. No continuation here. And that's the 2nd on Zach. This one shapes up as one Jim Jackson. It should have action all the way to the end. What do you think?
Love it, my friend.
Oh,
Love it.
Loving it. Loving it. Saturday, UFC Fight Night is on FS1. A battle of light heavyweight contenders. Knockout artist Ryan Bader will face off against veteran Antonio Nogueira. And Thomas Almeida will take on Albert Morales. Tune in to UFC Fight Night Saturday starting at 7 Eastern on FS1.
What time you gonna have it on? You guys have popcorn. You seem like a big UFC guy.
Oh, are you kidding me?
You just seem like
I'm all about submission.
You embody what it's all about.
When you look at Nigel Hayes' numbers, he has not taken a shot in the second half, which speaks to the adjustments made at halftime by Greg McDermott.
Well, two adjustments. One, closing out on the perimeter, but not allowing Nigel to get comfortable, get deep post position inside, where it can really be effective.
Patton back on the floor out of the timeout, as is Watson. Zierden remains in the game along with Cole Huff. And Foster. Those are the 5 on the deck for the Blue Jays. That's a good pass to Huff, and he's fouled.
At that time, improper closeout by Vito Brown, and then going for the pump fake. Huff able to draw a foul, but I like the fact that the double team came a little bit later inside, forced Foster to get the basketball out of his hands. And right here, on this closeout, you know Huff is struggling a little bit. Force him to take that shot. Force him to knock one down instead of kind of bailing him out by being out of position.
Hill is checked out of the game, and Demetric Price has come in. Demetric now checking Watson. I think this is a better defensive matchup to have Trice in the game on the smaller Watson. Mookie Blaylock told me years ago when you were playing in the NBA, he said, I hate playing against Spud. I mean, any guard that can get underneath me, and that's one of the reasons I think Trice is a better matchup for Watson than any other guard the Badgers have.
And that's hard to say because you can't get up underneath Watson because he plays so low to the ground, but Trice playing football, he understands how to take that airspace away and play and shuffle his feet.
There's Hayes, his first bucket, and it comes at point-blank range.
But it came off excellent ball movement.
Oh, just as I say that, counted in a foul. And that's an example of Watson getting up and under Trice and getting the and one.
Well, an example, too, of Wisconsin not getting back and communicating in transition. So now you score inside. Hayes seeking out an open opportunity. Excellent pass inside, receives it. But at this point, you're Wisconsin, you got to get back and match up. And this time, Watson able to take advantage of no backline help. Ability also to get a three-point play.
Watson having his usual night, dropping dimes and headed for another double-double potential night. Wheeling and dealing and scoring to boot.
And valuing and taking care of the basketball is also a credit to him.
Foster trying to check Koenig, and that's a walk against Ethan Hatt.
And you know what? And that walk could have been caused by this. The first time Hatt has had one-on-one opportunity, kind of rushed himself knowing that those opportunities don't come that often against this Creighton Blue Jay defense.
Boy, Zierden wanted to check that one, but Koenig got in front of him. That's his spot on the floor. This is the part of Isaiah's game, though, that has improved. He can put the ball on the deck and drive, as he did with the pump fake, and Koenig picks up the foul.
Well, that was excellent recognition from this perspective. The closeout with Koenig, his right foot was dropped, which means that it opened up the driving lane to the middle. Zierden doesn't have to be the quickest or the fastest, but if he can get his shoulder past Koenig, now he can get into the lane, which he did, and now he's at the has an opportunity to pick up the foul and get to the free throw line.
You know, so much was made. I want to go back to Greg Gard for just a moment, because I have the utmost respect for him as a longtime assistant to Bo, and keeping it in the family. You know, Wisconsin Platteville, Wisconsin Green Bay. You know, the building basketball at the collegiate level in the state of Wisconsin is about greatness at every level. And Bo Ryan knew that as much as Dick Bennett knew that. And I think what he did last year for a team that was really struggling to find itself without Decker and without Kaminsky, and to really change their offensive flow, I mean, they were really heading south, and he got them on the right track, Jimmy, in a way that I never really thought that an interim coach could.
But I don't know if he really changed so much offensively. I think he changed the mindset of the young men to understand how they needed to play.
Certainly expanded minutes on guys.
Exactly, but get back to playing Wisconsin basketball. Yeah. We're not going one-on-one. We're not taking contested threes.
Right.
We're going to do what we do best, and that's a formula for success as we've seen in the past.
Tied at 48, and they're on their feet in Omaha. Well, that was a bad shot by Hayes. Out of bounds, though. Last touch by Creighton. Sort of threw that one up from the hip. Jordan Hill will check back into the game for Trice.
You know, it's also interesting about this Wisconsin team, talking to Coach Gard, that this is their probably best set of reserves they've had at Wisconsin. They can go 10 deep.
You're right. And their guard play changes dramatically when Hill comes in for Trice and vice versa.
A little bit longer on the perimeter.
Haven't heard from Watson of late. Maybe time for him to call his own number. Huff on the wing.
And you know what I love about that move? He caught it, squared up, he was assertive, he was confident, stepped right in and knocked down an open jump shot.
6-0 run now for Creighton. Hayes, a baseline blast by the big fella. Tied at 50.
And we talked about the outstanding passing from the post players by Wisconsin. Again, communication out there on the back line for Creighton. Easy opportunity.
Off with the dump down to Patton. That's a beautiful bounce pass entry.
Bounce pass entry, but then the patience. And then when you're 7 foot, the jump hook, you can't block it. It can't be stopped inside.
How good is this, huh? How good is this?
Early season.
It feels like March to me. Patton. Oh, how smooth was that? From Koenig. And the putback Showalter. Came down gingerly on his ankle. I think the instep or maybe his calf is giving him some trouble. Might be a cramp or Charlie horse. Well, offensive rebounds are now up to 13-3 for Wisconsin, and here's what you can do with those offensive boards.
Well, obviously, right there, he hurt himself before he was even able to tip it in. That's off one leg.
Timeout. It is a great one at the Dave Gavitt tip-off. (54-52), something we really pride ourselves on here on FS1. The opportunity to go inside the huddle in the Big East. Let's listen in to the Creighton huddle with Greg McDermott.
All right, guys, hey, you got to get some rebounds for me, all right, buddy? Yes, all right, you're doing a great job blocking up. Go get the ball, all right? Everyone, this side too. Let's go. Every rebound. Let's go.
I love it. Toughness with a smile, but he got his point across. And also what he said was, on the double teams, you didn't hear this, force Nigel to post man to dribble out of the double team, force the pass to go out toward half court. Not opposite end when Nigel Hayes got an open basket inside.
He is so comfortable in his position at a program like this.
Oh, why shouldn't he? He has so much success.
And this environment is fantastic. Community has really embraced this program. They have for years. Got it started really with Dana Altman and has followed through with McDermott. Heckner on the wing. 57-52. Steal by Kyrie Thomas. Yes, and a foul.
In the huddle, Coach McDermott, I need you to grab a rebound. Okay, Coach, I got you. That allowed the play to continue to go on. An excellent recognition from Watson to Heckner in the corner. But then again, the effort plays, getting out in transition, forcing a turnover, and then the ability with the big body of Thomas to finish. And look at Watson. You think this game means something early in the season?
Hey, this is one of those games when you're on the bubble in March, you look back and you say, where's our impact win? Where's our quality win? This could be one of them for either one of these teams.
I don't think either of these teams will be on the bubble, but it surely looks good on your resume. Whoever walks out of here with the W.
Let's just say the seeding could be sown with a win tonight, huh? Patton had it, lost it. Watson comes out, 3-on-2. Thomas is feeling it. Timeout. This is some wild kingdom. I remember watching that on Sundays, by the way. Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
I don't. I wasn't old enough.
I was around back then. Yeah, I was. An incredible environment, and along with Jim Jackson, Tim Brando, this is something special. Every loose ball opportunity, it seems, in that last sequence is a great example of it. A deflection leading to this opportunity in the open court.
Well, right now, Watson doing an excellent job, head up, dribble penetration, but he goes to Kyrie Thomas, a guy that's hot. That's excellent recognition from your point guard, understanding the gravity of the moment, and he loves, and I'll tell you, Tim, he loves to set up his teammates to get open opportunities.
I talked to him today at the shoot-around, Jim, and I asked him what he learned from his experience in testing the NBA waters. He said, I found out that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And he said, I've dedicated myself to be more accountable to my team, to work on my shooting, and to just be a better teammate.
It's paying huge dividends right now for this Creighton team to have leadership such as Watson.
Showalter not there. Another second chance, though, coming for Wisconsin. They're staying in this game on the offensive glass.
Then rotation out of the double team, slow once again, allowing Wisconsin another shot.
And they convert on the blow-by Kanan.
And the patience that time with Kanan, even though Patton had the arm's length on him, was able to create enough space between him and Patton to use the glass to finish.
Listen, Kyrie Thomas, number 2, is the consummate pleaser. He had 3 points in the first half. He's got a dozen in this half. And right now, you know, he's really feeling it. He can take a game over too, number 2 in white.
Well, it's quietly that third option that doesn't probably get a lot of recognition, but he does all the little things defensively. He's in the right position. Offensively, making the right plays, able to knock down shots. And I love that Watson, once again, went back to Thomas in the fast break, knowing that he had the hot hand.
Foster has it stripped by Hayes. And in the scrum, the tie ball is going to go Wisconsin's way. Arrow is going in that direction.
5.5 minutes. Creighton, you have a nice lead, but you have to do the little things. Again, you don't want to rush your shots. You want to force Wisconsin to make mistakes. You don't want to allow them to get back in the game because this team can score in bunches.
We saw that in the earlier game on FS1 tonight. A couple of needless turnovers by Georgetown were the difference in the late stages of that game. Up 7 with a minute to play. Maryland took advantage and got the win by 1.
Well, empty possessions. They kill you at the end of the game, in particular if on the defensive end you give up free throws, easy opportunities that allow Wisconsin to get back in it.
Oh, Koenig made a beautiful move. Foul goes against Kyrie Thomas. He picked up 2 inside of 30 seconds to go from 2 to 3 to 4 personal fouls.
Yeah, and you see the emphasis right here. We're not going to settle for a jump shot. Koenig that time being able to put the ball on the deck and force the foul and now get to the free throw line.
No continuation. The shot did not count.
That's on the next level, baby.
Yeah,
that's on the next level.
These are the first free throws of the night for Wisconsin. That's hard to believe, as competitive as this game has been, that this is the first time anyone has been on the line for the Badgers.
Yeah, and Creighton has done an excellent job of not bailing Wisconsin out by reaching in on a lot of the dribble drive penetration and sending them to the free throw line.
He gets them both. Koenig now with 16.
And this is where you rely on your senior leadership on the court to be able to get the type of shots offensively that you need to get.
Foster off the bounce.
Too quick.
Agreed. Patton runs it down. Oh, what a nice move. Out to Zierden. Another rebound for Patton. A third opportunity for the Blue Jays.
Pull it down. Bring it back out.
Foster. You're right. Every one of those were too quick.
They're too quick. Now,
You're right.
Clock is your best friend.
Yep.
You've been able to get shots when you work the offense. Now you kind of allow Wisconsin a chance to cut into this lead even more.
Oh, that's just a little incidental contact. Out of bounds. Last touch by Patton. Koenig a little upset with himself for losing his footing. I think he may have been tripped really by one of his teammates on that pick right there.
Ethan Happ, besides 18s right there, stuck out behind him. Fortunate for Wisconsin, they're able to retain the possession with 16 seconds left on the shot clock.
Bronson Koenig will trigger it in. Vito Brown has come into the game. Nice defensive work. And then the foul.
And that time Koenig got caught in the air. He wanted to drop the pass over the head back to Ethan Happ, but he wasn't ready. Excellent defense that time by Creighton. As you see Koenig getting to the middle right here, he wants to drop this pass right back inside, but he sees that Happ is not available.
Yeah, it was actually good defensive work by Hansen. Now after that foul by Koenig, his second, the 7th team foul, it's bonus time for the Blue Jays the rest of the way.
And you should use that to your advantage. Okay, now getting to the free throw line via the penalty. Why 7? But now when you get to the free throw line, Tim, you have to convert.
A season ago, he was a 63% free throw shooter. Heckner unable to convert that time. Showalter with the dump down to Happ. There's the double from Heckner. Hayes with under 10 on the clock gives it up to Koenig. Heckner clears for Creighton. I think McDermott does want patience in this sequence. Hansen. Oh, what a shot. And McDermott knew it. Did you see the reaction from the coach? He knew that was big. Very, very big.
Patience. Patience by the offense to get you a high-quality shot, and Hansen able to finish inside.
Hayes on a blow-by, and he's fouled. Hansen came over to give Hegner some help, but the foul was picked up by Zierden on the reach.
Hansen inside. Let the big man eat a little jump shot, little jump hook inside, and McDermott loving it.
You should have any doubt in your mind about what you're supposed to do tonight and about how you're supposed to do it. You're showing yourselves just exactly who you are in here.
He also saw the power of the Northeast market and cities that live and breathe basketball.
To start a league with basketball at the forefront was
Dave Gavitt was a visionary in the world of basketball. He also saw the power of the Northeast market and cities that live and breathe basketball.
to start a league with basketball at the forefront was really ahead of its time.
The Big East tournament and the Big East Conference, he's the one that left a tremendous imprint on our game.
No one cared more about the game, not just Big East basketball, but college basketball than Dave Gavitt. And this program right here, right now, coming from the Missouri Valley and now into the Big East, has been the perfect fit from the middle of the country to join the Big East because of its affinity for the game, the love and the joy that they are the big story in this town. Day in, day out, they are starved for college basketball, and that's exactly the kind of community that Dave Gavitt wanted in his league.
Well, that's what drew me. I was a big-time Big East fan. Syracuse, Georgetown, Providence, St. John's, Walter Berry, Pearl Washington. That drew me in because now you see it manifest itself now as you see Hayes missed the second of 2 free throws. That yes, it's changed, but the feeling of basketball first is still paramount.
He started the league in 1979, and I got to tell you, 6 years later, a 29-year-old was told he could do a Big East basketball game, and it changed my life. I'm forever grateful to Dave Gavitt, and I'm not the only broadcaster. And Dave, by the way, called a lot of Big East games. He was as much a part of the coaching and the broadcasting of the sport as any commissioner or former coach in college basketball ever could have been. Wonderful, wonderful man. His son, of course, is handling the NCAA basketball tournament. Danny doing a tremendous job. And this event with Val Ackerman and Jim Delaney have acquiesced to play and be part of is, I think, the perfect way to begin the college basketball season.
You know what I love about it is the fact that they're non-conference games, but they're played on someone's home court.
Yeah.
So you have the energy in the building from that home team, different than playing on a neutral site.
And you have the spirit of competition.
Yes.
But at the same time, no one's keeping count. It's not us versus them. It's just the spirit of the game. And we all know that in the end, a game like this, win or lose, is going to do nothing but help you as a program.
It will. You learn from your win what you could have done a lot better, and you learn when you lose how you let probably some possessions or some things slip away. That's the beauty about college basketball, is that a loss doesn't hurt you like if you're playing college football as much.
That's the 19th foul on Wisconsin, so one more, and the Blue Jays are in the double bonus. Patton, who I think made a big difference in this second half, Jim, his play, I mean, he met the challenge of that Wisconsin front court and answered his coach in that huddle we saw about 10 minutes ago, and has been a big difference.
It's not always in the stat sheet as far as points, but keeping possessions alive, having the ability to intimidate inside and not give up a shot, very important.
Watson is now 1 assist away from a double-double, 12 and 9 on the night. Badgers really need a hoop here, and they get a walk.
Ethan Happ all evening has been off kilter, not able to get a rhythm. That time searching for the correct pass, shimmied that foot just enough for the official to call a travel.
Yeah, he's traveled 3 times tonight.
He's never been comfortable. And that's one thing that Coach McDermott talked about, was forcing Wisconsin to play uncomfortable.
15 turnovers by the Badgers. Uncharacteristic, but these guys can force a few of those turnovers. Happ on the other end. Gives it up for the trailing Showalter. Working on Patton. Counted and a foul. A strong move that time by Ethan Happ. And the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, member of the all-defensive team, answers the challenge and gets Patton his second foul.
Well, excellent post position. Use that shoulder, create leverage and opportunity in space. That time, Patton, you're tall enough, hands straight in the air. Don't go for the fake.
That's a big three-point sequence for them. Cuts it to 7 with 2 and change remaining at a time when they really needed something to happen offensively.
Well, it allows now for the defense to get set. Now you can press up a little bit.
Yep.
So you get to the free throw line, see if you can create a turnover or a timeout.
Yeah, Illy Kanan coming into the game on the inbounder, in that case Hegner, and he had to call the timeout. We'll be right back.
30-second timeout for Creighton.
(67 to 60). The Blue Jays have had their magnificent moments, and the building has been exploding at the seams, but this Wisconsin team, very difficult to shred because of their fundamental skills. And now they have Creighton trying to just get the ball inbounded, which sometimes late in the game, Jim, is as tough as anything.
Well, Wisconsin is going to invite Creighton to catch the ball in the corner so they can get a trap. You want to keep the ball in the middle if you can and attack the pressing defense that way. Excellent job by Creighton. Now this is where you settle down into your offense. You've been successful shifting the Wisconsin defense sideline to sideline and then attacking.
This is when it really helps to have a great point guard. They know it too, and right away they decide they're going to lengthen the game by fouling. Showalter with his third. That's the 10th team. They want to extend the game even with the bonus in effect and send Watson to the free throw line.
This is where free throws, coaches talk about it all the time in practice. There's a reason why we shoot free throws under pressure in practice. We can't maybe simulate the game time activities, or the same kind of atmosphere, but we need you to concentrate. This could be the difference between us walking away with a W or a loss.
75% at the free throw line a season ago. He gets 1 of 2. (68-60). 150 and counting. Koenig. Watson runs it down. And it's last touch by the Badgers. He did a great job of shielding the defender and then knowing the ball was last touched by the Badgers. Watson unable to bring it in. Wisconsin will get control of the basketball.
And Koenig had an excellent look that time. Patton went underneath the screen on the switch.
He just shielded him away so that Creighton could have possession. There's the trap. Loose ball, last touch by the Blue Jays. I think Watson injured himself.
Yeah. And what happens, that sideline, if you get the ball too close to the sideline, that acts as another defender. And being smaller in stature, that time, Watson didn't have a passing outlet.
Yes, and he is hurt where you do not want to be hurt.
He's playing through it, though.
Yes, he is. Too much at stake. Koenig. Just kills you softly with that shot. And Showalter with a bump is going to commit the personal against Foster.
Well, because Koenig has the ability to beat you off the dribble, Zierden understands that. He gives him too much space. Right here off the switch. See how much space is in between there? You got to take that away and then contest. And that's what Coach McDermott talked about. Get up into him a little bit more. Force him into your help. Excellent clearance of space that time by Bronson.
Marcus Foster, junior from Wichita Falls. Preseason All Big East first team selection. Sat out after the transfer after being dismissed at Kansas State. He had his fair share of issues upon leaving, but has really found a home here.
All right, look at the lineup now. Kyrie Thomas substitutes back in for Heckner. That means they're smaller, able to switch. But what you're going to give up off a long shot sometimes with offensive rebounding. The communication for Creighton is imperative right now. They want to secure defensive boards.
Koenig working pick and roll, takes it to the rack. Lead is down to 5.
Now you just play solid defense if you're Wisconsin. No need to foul.
Yeah, you know what? Watson induced that fence.
Yes, he did. But it's smart.
Yeah, that was a Philly play right there.
Well, it's smart because you know, as an offensive player, any kind of physical contact, especially outside, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt.
Up?
Oh, yeah.
That look up, that's one of the oldest tricks in the Philadelphia playbook right there.
Well, I thought it was excellent. I thought Bronson moved. He shuffled his feet enough.
Yep.
But Watson sold the contact.
Koenig now with 3 fouls, 21 points. You know, if you get 1 for 2 enough, and they come down and hit 2 and 3, the math will begin to work for Greg Gard and company.
Well, that's why you extend the game. You force your opponent to step to the free throw line and convert it to with the free throw.
And that way since Jimmy V and 83 in Albuquerque.
That's right.
And we didn't have the double bonus back then. That created the double bonus.
I was 13 at the time. Just let you know.
Koenig off the jump stop. Oh, the iron, tantalizingly unkind, and the foul. They can feel it here at CenturyLink. Koenig with his 4th foul.
And that defensive possession is what I was talking about before. The smallest player on the court seeking out the defensive rebound, not allowing Wisconsin to have another good look at the basket.
By the way, this Wisconsin program, to show you how outstanding it's been and the job that Greg Gard has done, He was the first head coach in his first year to guide a team to the Sweet 16 since, of all people, Chris Mack of Xavier did it in 2010. And by the way, when you start talking about outstanding teams going into this year, you can bet that club from Cincinnati is going to be right there again.
You better believe it's going to be a tough out anytime you play.
Here we go. Koenig from downtown. And the tip-in, beautifully done by Showalter. Keeping the game alive with 47.3 remaining. Wisconsin now out of timeouts. Doing everything that they can to extend this game. Greg McDermott in non-conference games, particularly top 10 teams, has been outstanding. No Big Ten team has come into Creighton and won since 1968. They are 0-7 in that span.
And what I love about this part of the game is where attention to detail matters.
Yeah.
Focus on what you have to do from a defensive perspective. Offensively, be aware of taking the ball out of bounds. The time, the seconds that are ticking off to inbound the basketball, not getting the ball in the corner, being strong and secure. To me, what I'd love to do in this situation, Tim, the offense is anticipating a foul. Allow the ball to come into the corner, trap. The offensive player's tendency is to hold the ball. You may be able to get a 5-second call.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking you're going to get a foul called on them. So let's see if they can employ that and maybe get a turnover.
Now, one of the things that we've noticed in the second half, players like Hap, Showalter, frontline guys have not gotten the ball as often. I think Creighton's defense in its interior has been much better in this half.
Well, when they got it, they had to give it up because of the double
Yeah,
team. So that's
right.
just excellent game planning against this Wisconsin team and excellent execution by Creighton's defense.
Wrong guy got the inbounds pass.
Yeah.
They got a foul. So we did everything we could to keep number 10 from getting it. There was no stopping him, and Showalter picks up his fifth.
And Watson Jr. was able to catch the ball on the move. At that particular point, you have to force him to come back to the baseline, stop, and then trap. Once he gets his speed and momentum going, there's no way you're going to trap him. You just shoot that.
Zach ends the game with 7 points all this half. Hap tonight, 7 points, 3 out of 5 from the floor. But as you mentioned, those quick doubles, he had to get rid of it. By and large, the concern for the interior, which is really what was discussed at practice yesterday and again today. They went for 2 hours today, Creighton, at their shoot-around. Job well done. And the execution that Greg McDermott wanted, he got, particularly from his young guys inside. Well, this is number 1 for me, partner, and I'm looking forward to the next two nights.
I love it, man. I love it.
Great to be with you again.
Got it. A lot of time still left. Let's see.
Koenig. It's Kyrie Thomas down with it. Length of the floor to the home star. It's a coronation for Creighton. Pretty sure I know what the water cooler conversation in Omaha is going to be tomorrow, partner. By the way, that was Watson's 10th assist, so he got his double-double. Hayes, not there. Koenig runs it down. Fitting that it in like this, right? With number 10 just winding down the clock. "17 points and 10 assists for Watson, the leader of this team, playing that way. And as I told you, Jim, when we spoke earlier today, he said, I'm going to be more accountable. I'm going to be a better teammate. He was tonight. He shared the wealth, and he made his own.
And that's the beauty of having leadership, mature leadership in your backcourt, because when things get tough, you can rely on your senior leadership to do that. So you had 4 of the Blue Jays in double figures. That means that the ball was moving around. That means they were spreading the offense. They made the correct plays. And down the stretch of the game, the coach can tell you what to do, Tim, but you need to have that voice on the court. Maurice Peterson Jr. was that voice. Calmed and settled everything down, allowed Creighton to walk out of here with a much needed and a big, big victory.
Top 10 win against one of the storied programs in the college game. Wisconsin has become a team, and they know this, that is the hunted. They get everyone's best shot now, particularly when they step out of Big Ten play. And there are no losers in games like this.
Well, it's not, but one thing Wisconsin has to understand now the game plan is to get the ball out of their post players' hands. Now you have to start to make an adjustment to figure out how not to rely on long jump shots if you're Wisconsin when the double team comes. And that's something that you can break down this game film and say, listen, guys, they got us out of rhythm. It's only one game. We'll figure this out because we're going to see this consistently throughout the year. We have to figure out how to combat that and make it work to our favor.
When you got off the plane in Omaha, I'm sure people around here knew why you were here, right? They said, oh, you're here for the game.
Oh, big time. Big time. They knew what was going on. And here's the thing about it, is that an early season matchup like this is what I love, because both teams are excited, but I love it for the fan base.
Yeah. Fantastic being with you, partner.
Come on, we got many more to go, brother.
We sure do. We sure do. And I look forward to seeing Bill Raftery tomorrow in Indianapolis.
I bet you do after the game, of course.
As Butler takes on Northwestern, I'll be there for it. Our final 79-67. Now we send it over to Rob and Steve with the Jeep Grand Cherokee FS1 College Hoops Extra.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. And we are joined now by the winning head coach, Greg McDermott. Your Blue Jays off to 2-0 start. This is one of the things I love about college basketball coaches. The first thing when that whistle sounds, you get this piece of paper with the final numbers at it. You've had a little time to digest it. Where did your eye go first to look for, and then what did you find as you continued to peruse?
Well, there's two things. They only shot